Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Shahir, and today I am joined by Rana. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. It's been a good uni holidays,
Yeah.
and looking forward to going back into the studio and making some more episodes. So it's been really good.
Alhamdulillah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Rana, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Cool. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rana Arif. I am originally from Iraq and Syria, but I've been in New Zealand for, 7 years now, since 2016. But I was actually born here and then moved to the Emirates and then came back in 2016. Haven't visited my homelands, but inshallah one day I will be able to do that. So I'm not actually from Auckland. I'm from Hamilton, the cool H-town, where I studied human development and human resources. And it was such an amazing journey, to be honest. I loved it. So now I'm in Auckland working as a project manager for an organization, and it's been amazing. And a lot of the work that I do there relates to what I'm really passionate about, which is youth development, community development, and just making safer spaces for our young people in Rangatahi, whether it's just the wider community or the Muslim community. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, no, that's good. That's really good. So I guess that's kind of why there was a big reason why we wanted to have you on the podcast today is to talk about the work you do. Why did you get into the youth development space?
Yeah.
Out of, I guess, all sorts of other careers you could have had.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think we all we either use our experiences to get away from something or to attract something. And so I think my lived experience coming to New Zealand made me want to be more involved with the youth, community, because I felt a need. And so I thought, okay, let me just jump in and see what I could do. So when I first came here, I was in, year 10 high school. And I felt like I was detaching from my Arab, I think, background, but also the Muslim background. It wasn't like I wasn't experienced, like I didn't want to be Muslim, but it was just more like I didn't want people to know I'm Muslim, which is like, alhamdulillah, now I'm further along in my religious journey, but that was where I was at the time. And I think a lot of that was because I was surrounded by an environment that's within my school that wasn't really, encouraging me to be, my whoever I wanted to be. But so that's when I finished high school and went into uni, I was like, holy shizzle, like there's so much I can do. And that's when I actually started becoming more connected with my deen, and I wanted to do that with other people, not just with deen, with the religion, but with their community and their culture as well. And so that's what got me into the work that I did, and one thing led to another, and alhamdulillah, I'm here now.
Yeah, that's great. I guess it is really important to, I imagine there's a ton of research about how important early or community is for, I guess, fostering a sense of belonging, and how important it is for development and growth later on in life and all sorts of life outcomes. So could you talk us through maybe what some of the biggest issues youth face in New Zealand, whether it's Muslim or non-Muslim? What are the kind of problems?
Yeah, I think it all starts with the environment. Through my work, I've worked directly with young people, both Muslim and non-Muslims. I've done research through uni and through the work that I was doing about young people and the problems that they face. And there's a lot, especially in New Zealand. But I think one of the main things starts with the development, as you mentioned. When you develop, the environment around you and the opportunities that you're exposed to and the people that are around you shape how you experience life. And whether you have that or not depends on how you continue on with life. And so with youth in general, let me start there. With youth in general, it's the people and the environment that you're around. So if you have a supportive environment, if you have an environment that has a lot of opportunities, it helps you. You don't know what you don't know. So these young people are exposed to different things, and they have the privilege to explore a lot of things, and they are growing up in an environment that's healthy. But that's not the case for a lot of people. And so when organizations come in to fill that gap, or people come in to fill that gap, it helps them develop, if that answers your question. So for Muslim youth in specific, we've got a unique kind of side to our identity when we're living in New Zealand, because, you know, we've got different needs. We're the minority, so our needs are highlighted in specific situations. So whether it's in school or high school, from high school or university or anywhere, if you are a Muslim, you have your needs, whether it's you eat halal, or whether you want to go aside to pray, or whether you wear the hijab, or whatever it is, you have those needs. And sometimes those needs are not catered for in the situations that you're in. And that affects the development, because then you start creating your identity based on, oh, well, I can't really express those needs, or these people aren't giving me opportunities because of who I am, kind of thing. And so, I don't know, I lost track of where I was going there, but basically, that's where people step in. And so that's why I do the work that I do, to step in and see where I can fulfill those needs and create either opportunities or spaces, or be part of organizations like this organization, to be like, okay, well, you can't get that in your high school, you can't get that in university, let us help you get those opportunities like other young people. And that's just unique for our Muslim community. It applies to all different types of communities of young people.
That kind of, it's interesting. It reminds me of when I went to primary school. I actually went to primary in Hamilton. I went to Knighton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, you probably didn't know this.
No, I swear.
And I was there for 6 years, so I completed all my primary schooling there.
Oh my gosh, so you're true Hamiltonian.
I was, although I was quite young, so my memory is limited. But the principal at the time, he's probably retired now. He'll be very old. He was a guy called Jeff Freeman, and one of the things that we did at Knighton was we had a swimming pool, which is, I guess, kind of rare for a primary school to have a swimming pool. But there used to be a Muslim girls swimming class.
Oh my god.
And this was back in like 2006, 2007, where the Muslim population was a lot smaller than it is today. But the school was really multi-ethnic. There was lots of different people, because a lot of the students there were kids whose parents were studying at uni. So there were a lot of international students and a lot of, their children as well. But that, I guess that kind of, what I'm trying to say is that even back then, there was some attempt from our principal, who was a really good guy, to, have these kind of classes.
Amazing. It's actually so awesome. So
is that a good example of the kind of initiatives
absolutely
cater for different needs?
Because then you don't feel like an outsider. Like I don't know, in my personal experience, like in some cases you already feel othered in some situations, so you don't want to go in and also feel like swimming classes, I remember we had them at school as well, and back then, because I was a bit distant of people didn't really know I'm Muslim, I wouldn't really tell them, I can't do this. But I can see a lot of the Muslim girls that wanted to swim, but either there was a male teacher around that they couldn't swim in front of, even though we're a girls' school, or they just, the space wasn't catered for. It wasn't indoors, it was public, outdoors, so little things like that just makes such a big difference, because you're just like, oh shit, I don't even have to, sorry, my language. You don't actually have to worry about that. You don't have to ask, can I have a private area, or things like that. So it's just little things. Same thing with a prayer place. I remember at our school, we had this really tiny room we had a specific tutor for international students, and we had a little room there that we used to pray in. It wasn't actually known to the Muslim students that there was a prayer room. I found out through people telling me, the Muslim girls, and people didn't know about it, and it was so tiny, like 2 people at a time, kind of tiny. And it's just kind of sad, because it's not an inviting place to go to. It's almost like you need to be invited to go pray. It's not known to everywhere. It's a Muslim prayer place for people to go and pray. So just little things like that. other than like the halal stuff, of course, like, and that's only at a scale for high school, you know. Imagine
Yeah.
just everywhere else, you know. But yeah, so I definitely think little things go a long way, and I think it's really important, just listening to the youth that I speak with as well, that it comes from the other side and not you having to go and express what you need. Because if you have to do that time and time again, you're just going to get tired. Like, you don't want to keep explaining yourself over and over again, because it's not just a discussion of, oh, like, can I please have halal food? They have to, you open up that discussion. And while that can be a form of, you know, da'wah or a form of education, it's exhausting when you have to do it time and time again. So imagine going to a place where they're just like, oh yeah, there is a prayer place here. Oh yeah, our food is halal, without even having to ask for it. Yeah. It's not really a big need, you know, like a lot of religions have different needs. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess I want to touch on something you said near the start of that. You said how being, you know, othered, or it's so kind of, I don't know if this is the right word, but maybe dehumanizing. It also, I think, has a profound impact if you feel like you don't belong. This goes for anyone, I think, on your mental health. Yeah. And that is going to inevitably affect how well you do, how you feel physically. Yeah. Is there a I know about, we didn't really touch about New Zealand's mental health, but I've heard from a lot of people who work in, you know, maybe like in the health sector, that it's really bad. What's been your experience working with youth? Is that something that you see?
I definitely don't. With the youth that I see, of course, the interactions that I've had so far haven't been, while I try to provide a safe space for them, I've tried to prevent for it to be kind of, how do I word it? So like the youth that I've been working with, especially the ones that I was, you know, regularly seeing them, by facilitating a safe space for them, I'm able to have a conversation without actually going really deep into some of those issues, just because I'm not a practitioner, I'm not really certified to do any of this, so I wouldn't want that. But from the conversations that we've had, it's not an easy place to navigate. Like, it's, first of all, our communities have such a big taboo about it, and second of all, accessibility. Like, you're not only, like, there's already a mental health crisis in New Zealand, and so having to navigate that as well with being you know, having your own specific kind of, like, me personally, I would love to go to a Muslim psychologist, not any other psychologist or a counselor or a therapist, but I know that's not the case for everybody. So having to also try find somebody that's unique in the mental health space, but it's something big, and I've done research, and that was one of the main problems, mental health, and how it's not really, I don't know, now I guess there's more emphasis on it, and there's lots of opportunities or places where you can talk about your problems, but even that, it's still hard. But it's a big thing. It's still there, and I've seen it.
Yeah, and I agree. I think there is a bit of a taboo in our community to some extent. But yeah, no, I mean, this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it, and I think, you know, maybe for the interest of time, to keep it short, we can kind of wrap up here. But it was great talking to you.
Thank you.
To our viewers, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed our conversation on youth development, and also, you know, touching a bit on mental health at the end there. Thank you so much, Rana.
No, that's all good.
You do a great job for the community, and
I try.
We're so lucky to have you. And you know, the youth are, I'm sure, even they don't realize it now, but they're very lucky to have you. So thank you. Okay, and assalamu alaikum everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.